What's up, everybody? Welcome to Meowy Hour. I'm your host. Stay here, Casey. Arden Moore. As you know, this show is brought to you each and every week by the Cat Fancier Association. With me, of course, is my talented co-host, all-breed CFA judge, Kathy Black. Woo! And sitting on her lap is our doggy designee, the one, the only, the poodle with many talents too, Destiny. I'm holding on to Rusty, who says, "Let me go." That is Rusty the performer. And of course, here we have Casey, the pet safety cat. And timed just perfectly is our special guest. She is a board certified veterinary nutritionist. We're going to find out what she was doing sometime in Switzerland and what's rugby have to do with her and a lot more. Please give a good Meowy Owl welcome to Dr. Lindsey Bullen. Hey, Dr. Lindsey, so glad you can make it.
Hey there, thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, everybody, this is a multi-talented gal. She's got two little boys. She's got two cats and a dog and a husband. They're juggling everything. And the fact that she's here on a live show, I think we need to do a little pause and applause. What do you say, Kathy?
1 minute late on a live show.
I stalled.
Better late than never.
I'm very excited to have you on the show. We also want to give a big shout out to our two sponsors. Of course, In Clover, the makers of cat and dog supplements. We got some goodies to give away for y'all. And Kitty Raid, it's an isotonic drink to help kitties stay hydrated. It's kind of new to the scene. They also make Yummy Raid and Doggy Raid. Did I do that right, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay. Do you like our stylish backdrops, Dr. Lindsey?
I love them. Do you like mine? It's my guest room.
I like it. And do you like Casey? Let's see if you'll give me a kiss.
I do.
Let's see if you'll say, Casey, you want to sit? You want to touch paw? Touch paws. You want to touch paws? Come on, here we go. Oh, he goes, you got to have a treat in your hand.
Yeah.
Of course.
You're, Mom, I know you're fooling me there.
Touch.
There we go.
Oh, he's better trained than my children.
He's the one that teaches the pet first aid classes. That's
oh, he's so handsome.
So what we do, so you know, Dr. Lindsey, is we do a little bit of an opening dialogue. We're going to let people have test their trivia skills. Do not give away the answers.
You got it.
And then we're going to jump right in to talk to you because a lot of people have some meaty questions about feline nutrition. See what I did there?
Unintended for sure.
So I was looking around and I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, let's talk about the kitty tail. Casey goes, don't show my south end, because the kitty tail has many, many, many benefits. First of all, it helps them stay balanced. It also helps them express their moods. Casey says, you never want to come up to a cat whose tail is doing this. It is known as kitty lashing. And if the pupils get bigger and the coat gets stiff and you hear the, that is not a cat to pet. Would you say, Dr. Lindsey?
I would agree. And I wish we could get my 2-year-old to understand that.
That Rowan?
That's Rowan. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Rowan, he says, I'm getting older. I'll figure that out.
He'll figure it out.
But it's appropriate to talk about kitty tails because on this episode of Meowy Hour, we're going to talk about the breed later on, Manx. Kathy, Manx is a what?
It's a breed of cat that originated in the Isle of Man.
Yeah, and
It's
it has
also,
no tail.
it's also a breed that's tailless.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and we have a veterinarian in the house, so you can help me if this is truth or fiction. Cats can live without tails. Like if something happened to a kitty that had a tail and they needed to have it amputated. I don't know. Have you ever done any tail amputations?
That's actually a really funny question that you asked that, because when I was 16 years old, I brought home a stray that was, absolutely no one would adopt it. That's what I told my parents so I could bring it home. And he had been hit by a car and had to have his tail amputated as a pediatric, and he was fine. And my current kitty, Ida, was actually hit by a car before I got her. And I didn't realize until like the second week I'd had her that her tail was paralyzed. And so I wasn't a vet at the time, but I had to take her in, and I was like, do we amputate it? Do we not?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't causing her any pain or discomfort. And when you are concerned about neurologic function, you can test for, superficial and deep pain, and she was deep pain positive. So we actually
in English.
so that means that we had to squeeze really hard to get her to tell us that she could feel it, but she couldn't feel the outer sensations. And the only way I knew that is because my puppy at the time was pulling the hair out of her tail, and she didn't know. So I took her in, and we ended up getting acupuncture with electrical stimulation.
Yeah.
And it actually innervated or brought function back to 1/3 of her tail. So before, she never had that beautiful little candy cane tail that a lot of kitties have. And now she has kind of a but her balance was terrible until we started doing that treatment. And it was enough to keep her at least on her toes.
And her tail in the air.
And her tail at least out of her poo. So that helps.
Oh, okay. Wow. I know you have a kitty, Ida, and Heidi. Isn't Heidi's the other? Or is that
Heidi's the dog. Maya is my other kitty.
Maya. Okay. Oh, those are the kitties, and Heidi is the dog. Okay. We're going to get more of that. So here's the deal. And we do have an all breed cat judge. So we just got some veterinary insights. Now we're going to do a cat breed insights. We don't want to give away your whole talk, so don't worry about that, Kathy. But I've been told that Manx can be as agile as tailed cats. Is that true?
That is true. It's amazing to me how they can corner at a high rate of speed, because the cats use their tail kind of like a rudder, to kind of counterbalance. Mm-hmm. And Manx can corner with the best of them. I always call them a bowling ball, but they really do. And they can really jump because their hind legs are really strong. So they're good leapers, and they can keep up with everybody else. Yep.
What do you think of that, Dr. Lindsey? Pretty cool, huh?
I mean, I think it's awesome. It's one of those things where, if you're used to having a tail your whole life, you're probably going to struggle, especially at first. But if you've never had one, you don't know any different. So You're going to learn. Yeah.
I mean, I've never learned to dunk a basketball because I'm only 5'1.5". So I guess I don't have to worry about that, right?
You don't have to worry about it.
You would if you were in the NBA.
Yeah, that's true. So other things about cat tails, and this is really important because you need to look at the whole cat, but the cat tail does convey mood, and they do communicate with other cats with their tails and with us. So this boy likes to lift his tail in the air so his brother, Rusty the performer, can take a whiff from the south end. That's kind of is that a kitty hello or a bonding? What would you think, Dr. Lindsey? Other than disgusting.
It is really interesting. I personally don't know if him lifting the tail is, to present himself, if you will.
Yeah, he's not spraying. He is not.
Yeah, it is really it's probably somewhat intentional. But absolutely, animals use their wonderful sense of smell. They have a special little organ in their nose that we don't. To learn each other, to figure out where their territories are, to say hi, and to, just kind of be gross. But
well, that's the other thing I'll leave you with, kitties. Our cats, the purebreds and the mutt cats like Casey here, domestic cats, they're the only felines that can actually hold their tail up in a vertical position when they walk. Wild cats hold their tails horizontally or even tuck them under when they're walking. So I want you all to start looking at National Geographic.
Yeah.
Those pumas and lions and tigers. Oh my.
Are you saying they can't do it, or they choose not to do it?
They tend to only do it level. or
Right.
horizontally, or they tuck it when they walk and run. But these guys are like, yeah, look at me, I'm up here.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a pride of lions trying to sneak through the grass and all of their tails up, like because they're stuck in the antelope?
That's what I'm saying. I think they can do it. They just choose not to.
Yeah, it's like little telescope warnings, you know,
Right.
to the buffalo. That's a really good point. This one, though, the one tail mood action that I love best, and he is my BFF, my best feline friend. Casey, when I call him across the room, he comes sauntering toward me and he will gently lift his tail up, and then the tip will curve like you say, the candy cane, and it'll twitch.
Aw.
Now that I've been told that is a kitty saying to you, you rock my world. Is that right, Casey?
Oh, yeah.
He goes,
I was
"Yeah,
just
don't
going to say one
Oh,
other
I
thing.
see it.
Just keep in mind that the tail is the extension of the spine.
Yeah,
So you never want to pull on the tail. You don't want to try to bend it, more than it would naturally want to curve, because it can cause neurological damage. And so you just want to be careful with the cat's tails. You'll see kittens sometimes with this like lightning bolt where some kid got a hold of it when they were young, or someone stepped on it or something like that. But yeah, just keep in mind that's a continuation of the entire cat spine, and it has all those same nerves and everything else along it. So just be aware of that and pay attention to that and be careful with it.
Okay, moving from tails to the other aspects of Meowy Hour prizes. Last week, we tested your kitty trivia talents, and the question was, not all cats purr. In fact, of the 38 cat species in the Panthera genus, did I say that right, Dr. Lindsey?
Genus, yep.
4 are not able to purr. So I gave you 4 species and I said, which of the following cats can definitely roar, but they're not able to purr? And the answer was jaguar, or for you guys, jaguar.
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 So what do you think of that question? So what did they win, Miss Kathy?
Well, we had 2 winners. Our first winner of our 4-pack of In Clover was Sherry Aoki. And Sherry, you will receive the 4-pack of Spry, Flow, Smile, and Sleek from In Clover Research. They also have other products for digestive aid, hip and joint, and dental health. Check them out at inclover.com. We have a special 10% discount for our viewers when you go to checkout. Put in Meowy in Clover 21, and we're going to get a new code for next year, we've been told, but that's still good for the month of December. So go to inclover.com. When you go to checkout, put in Meowy in Clover 21, and you'll get 10% off. And congratulations to Sherry Aoki. Our other sponsor is our new sponsor, our Kitty Raid sponsor, and that winner was Elle and Kelly Phillips. That's the first time that Elle and Kelly Phillips have responded, and they were my randomly chosen winner, and they will get the Kitty Raid gift box, which includes the delicious chicken tasting toppers as well as the isotonic drink. So congratulations to Elle and Kelly Phillips and Sherry Aoki.
And they also make this one called Yummy Raid and one called Doggy Raid. And we have a veterinary nutritionist in the house, so we're going to get into kitties and hydration in the show. But we want to thank both of our sponsors. My cats are the official taste testers. It's a tough job, but somebody has to do it. And Rusty and Casey love them, and they actually have been drinking these guys. So here's the thing. We're going to now test your trivia. Dr. Lindsey Bullen, do not answer this question because we do not reveal the answer till next week.
I'll put my acting face on. Doesn't give it away.
A good one. This is a celebrity cat question, so this should be easy. Which famous Jennifer just adopted an adorable gray kitten named Hendrix? I'm going to give you 4 Jennifers. You pick the one who did adopt Hendrix. Is it A, Jennifer Aniston? Is it B, Jennifer Garner? Is it C, Jennifer Lawrence? Or is it D, Jennifer Lopez? So A, Jennifer Aniston, B, Jennifer Garner, C, Jennifer Lawrence, D, Jennifer Lopez.
Love all 4 of those ladies. They're fantastic actresses.
Why didn't my mother name me Jennifer?
I know.
Right?
Honey, we're too old to be Jennifers. That came along after us.
Okay, Karen. Okay, Deb. Okay. So whoever answers, now you have 2 ways to do it. You can put your answer here on Facebook, but also you can email directly my co-host Kathy Black your response. Kathy, tell them how to do that.
Yes, email me, kathy.black@yahoo.com. It's in the comment section of the live Facebook feed. So be sure and send me your answer that way, because I'm not friends with everybody that follows us on Meowy Hour. I should be, but I'm not. And so if I try to choose your name through Messenger, about a third of the time people are not getting it. So send your responses to my email, kathy.black@yahoo.com. Thank you.
And that's Kathy with a K, folks.
Yeah,
and this
just like my name.
The perfect intro. Dr. Lindsey Bullen, I'd like you to meet my feline foodie. This is Rusty, the performer.
He's so handsome.
He loves everything that he can stick in his mouth. Food is a big deal for our cats. And we have a genius in the house today. I want to give you a little background. It's going to make your head hurt, but it's a good thing because she's a really cool person. Dr. Bullen, she got a degree in chemistry. Check. Let's get a degree in zoology too. Why not? Let's go and get a veterinary medicine degree. Okay. Let's now go to have a surgical internship. Check. And a residency. Check. And a fellowship. Check. I love the fact that you now are at Blue Pearl Specialty and Emergency Pet Hospital. It's in North Carolina. Correct. Somehow you managed to get married.
In vet school.
Named Arthur and Rowan. And she seems calm, doesn't she, Kathy?
Well, at least on the outside.
I want to really welcome you. She is one of my friends. She's really rocking it in the field of veterinary nutrition. Please welcome to Meowy Hour, Dr. Lindsey.
Oh, thank you guys both so much for having me. It's truly a pleasure and an honor to be here. And Kathy, it's wonderful to officially meet you. I've heard wonderful things.
Oh,
and Arden, wonderful to see you again, as always, my friend.
So let's dive right in. We've talked a little bit about kitties. They're not like dogs. They don't tend to gulp water down. But look, I think he's properly hydrated. I'm doing the skin test. This is your kitties right there. You want to give a little 411 on that?
For sure. So the kitty on the left side of the screen, the beautiful tuxedo, is Ida. She's my little special girl that was run over by an 18-wheeler. And the only thing that saved her was that it was raining that day. So she was pressed into the mud rather than being killed. So the guy who saved her took her straight to the hospital. Where she was diagnosed with a severe concussion, and they didn't even find the tail. I'm the one that found the tail later. So she is now 15 years old. Both the kitties are 15 years old. Wow. And water is very near and dear to my heart in regards to her because she has chronic kidney disease. She has inflammatory bowel disease, which is a GI disease. And she also has FLUTD, which is feline lower urinary tract disease, or kitty stress bladder. So she's my little lemon child. The beautiful kitty on the right, who has the little checker lips, is Maya. And I actually got Maya to be a sister for Ida because during my senior year of college, I thought it was a great idea to get a cat, not realizing that trying to finish college meant I wouldn't be able to take care of her and give her the attention she deserved. So what did I do? I got another cat to keep her company because that's what you do when you're 20 years old. Maya is, perfectly healthy, which is great. If I am honest with everybody, and honesty is important, she's a little on the rotund side because she does try to eat Ida's food. But she has been on a weight loss plan for several years, and it has been fairly successful. But she'll probably spend the rest of her life on a weight loss plan too. So, like all of us,
feeling.
right?
I know that feeling. Yes.
Call me and I can use some tips. You also
I know. I was like, I'm on a weight loss plan too. So there you go.
also have a dog, Heidi.
That is correct. Yep. So Heidi, let's see, if Arthur is 5, Heidi is about 4.5, 5 years old because Arthur's almost 6. We had another beautiful dog. He was 100-pound Shepherd Lab mix, like all blonde except for his little black face and black tip of the tail and black ears. And he ended up getting diagnosed with Hemangiosarcoma, which is a cancer of the spleen, 1 week before I had Arthur. And the poor intern that was at the hospital was like, "You will save my dog's life, or so help me, I will give birth to this child in the ER." and she did. She saved him. So
wow.
Obviously that type of cancer is very aggressive and it has a very poor prognosis, but we were really lucky and we got him for another 5 months after diagnosis, which was beautiful. He got to meet Artie. And so after he passed away, the house was empty. Animals have a really, really good way of giving a house spirit and energy and love. And for a big dog, that was a big void. And so about a year later, when Art was a year and a half, I was just kind of like, oh, maybe we should get a dog so that Arthur isn't afraid of dogs and he can grow up with a dog. And so my husband sent me this picture of little puppy Heidi, who needed to be fostered. And I think fosters are amazing. And I was like, that's not me. I can't foster because I'm going to keep her. And I did. I kept her.
I hate when they foster failure because it should be a foster success.
I think it's a foster success because I failed to give her away, but she is successfully integrated into our lives. And she is crazy. Unfortunately, she was abused, and which is why we got her. But she is beautiful and loving to my children, and they care for her dearly. She's a really, really good dog, and I probably should give her more credit, but don't let her hear me say that. So.
Dr. Lindsey, this is Rusty here. I have an important question. I'm not really into chugging water.
Yeah.
Why is it important that kitties stay hydrated? And do you have any tricks up your paw that can help some of us get our kitties to drink and stay nice and keep those cells humming?
Absolutely. So kitties in general tend to run a little on the dehydrated side as compared to their canine brethren. So if you take your pets to, if you take your animals to the vet, or when I should say, when you take your animals to me or another veterinarian, and you take a look at their urine concentration. So the concentration is one of the many indicators of kidney function. The cats should typically always be more concentrated than the dogs. That is very normal for them. But when we are chronically dehydrated, that can cause a lot of problems to not just the kidneys, but to all of the organs in the body. Case in point, one of my own doctors was like, well, how much water are you drinking? You keep getting injuries. And I was like, I know I need 8 cups a day. And they were like, we didn't ask you how much you need. How much are you drinking? And I was like, 3 cups of water a day. I'm too busy. And they were like, yeah, okay, you need like 10 to 12 cups a day. And I feel miraculously better on a lot of things now that I'm getting appropriate hydration. And the same is true for our animals. But as you mentioned, it's hard to get kitties to drink. So things that we can try to do to encourage increased water consumption, if people are willing and able, is to switch either from dry to canned or incorporate canned into their regimen. Now, keeping in mind that some cats don't like canned, and that's okay. But the canned foods are approximately 78% water, and so they are going to get more water in addition to what they're drinking than if they had a dry diet and drank water on top of that. And there's a lot of studies that show that dry plus water is always less than canned plus water. And when I say plus water, I mean like drinking on your own. But that's not a choice for everybody. It's super messy. My husband hates canned food because it looks and smells like tuna fish, and he hates tuna fish. And it's expensive. When you buy it, you're shipping, or you're paying for the shipping of water. basically. But it is a really good option, to increase their water consumption. It's also a good option if you've got a picky kitty too. Other things that you can do to increase water, some kitties will eat kibble or canned food with a little extra water added, but there's usually a fine line where you go too far and they're like, nope, not eating that.
That looks
Some
cute. No,
and
thank you.
it looks like a goopy soup. There's a couple products on the market that encourage water consumption, and it looks like one of our sponsors is one of those. And yep, so the Kitty Raid. Purina also has a new one on the market called HydroCare. So there's a couple different options out there.
You're seeing the need to provide this, don't you?
Yeah, and it's interesting, so most otherwise healthy kitties, especially if they are in a thermoneutral environment, so that means they're basically in your house. It's neither too hot, neither too cold. We don't really have performance kitties. There are some performance kitties, such as Rusty, but they're not pulling Iditarod sleds. So for the most part, their water consumption is fairly appropriate. And like my Maya, her water consumption is appropriate. But for my Ida, who has kidney disease, and I'm worried about her hydration, she is also very skittish. And so she will only, this is like infuriating, she will only drink out of a tiny green plastic, like it looks like a peanut bowl that is on the floor of my children's bathroom. She will not drink water from any other location. She won't drink it from any other bowl. She won't drink it from, the little fountains. Fountains are a great option. She won't drink it from a dripping water source. She will only drink it from this one single silly bowl that my poor husband constantly steps on. So, I'm worried about her water. So I've actually incorporated some of these hydration supplements into her routine as well, just to make sure that her little kidneys stay happy. Or happier, anyway.
Really confessed a lot so far. I mean, I can just picture this green peanut shaped plastic bowl in your house.
It's a really silly bowl, and it has a top, so it must have been some form of fancy Tupperware or something at one point. But it's a silly little peanut bowl that she loves, and it causes a lot of water spillage because the boys like to step on it. But
that's what's wild.
It's her favorite one.
Yeah. Kathy brings it up too. Hey, folks, if you got a cat with a quirky preference and they're drinking the water, we have a veterinarian in the house that says, let them do that.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle's cat, it's actually really funny. They have to leave the water faucet dripping for him. And so it's problematic when they go out of town because they have to leave the faucet on. So they pay somebody to stay in the house so that at least it's controlled when the water is persistently running. But that's a very expensive way to get your cat to drink. And so I'm actually working with them to try to find a water feeder that emulates the faucet, or at least recycles it so that it's not so wasteful, for them and so costly for them. But it just, as you pointed out, demonstrate the uniqueness of kitties.
I had one that I spoiled by letting them drink the water dripping. And then every time I walked by the sink, the cat was flying through the air because I was near the sink. I was like, you're going to turn the water on for me. And I decided we're not doing this anymore. We're going to break this habit. Yeah. You could, if you want running water or moving water, because I've had some cats that want to shake the bowl, make the water move, make it move before I drink it. So they really appreciate a fountain. Those cats that insist on having dripping water or running water, it seems like it stays fresher for them or something. They just prefer it that way. And I had my cats drink more when I had the fountain than they did. I was just a static bowl.
And the good news is there's a lot of fountains out there. We tried a couple different fountains, and one of them scared the cats, and one of the other ones didn't scare. But my husband didn't like it because it was really loud. You could hear the motor, and that's not really good either. But there's plenty of them out there to try. So
want the quiet ones, not the ones that sound like Bellagio in Las Vegas with the water.
Exactly.
We are on a very low budget, so here comes Santa Paws. This kitty has a question for you. I don't know if this actually works. Maybe. Okay.
Don't show that to my children, please.
Holidays are coming. Some people they're vaccinated. They're having families coming over. I can train cats to do many things. I cannot train a cat to get off a counter or off a kitchen island. because they smell better with their nose and they lock in. So when we're cooking fish, Casey and Rusty are in our bedroom shut because we don't want them tiptoeing on the stove. What are some holiday uh-ohs that you can share food-wise that our kitties should never put in their mouth? We don't want them to come to the, the Blue Pearl Specialty and Emergency Hospital. What's something that's definitely off the plate for cats?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of things. I understand, the desire to want to share with our little kitty families. There's a lot of ways that we can show love without, sharing certain things, but just general safety is going to be important. So there's a lot of household plants that are only out for the holidays that are incredibly toxic to animals. So poinsettias, lilies. I love me some lilies. That's my favorite flower. I don't get my favorite flower anymore because it can be really, really harmful. And so all of these bouquets, when you're bringing flowers to the house as a host gift, trying to either find something that, can be kept high out of the way or doesn't contain things that are toxic to pets is going to be really important. Even Christmas trees. I was mentioning that my cats drink water out of weird places. We've seen some weird like pine toxicities from cats and small dogs, drinking the water from the pine trees. It can make them feel really, really bad. And that's just stuff around the house. Other things.
Ribbons, tinsel.
No tinsel. Yeah. There are no ribbons. So my packages that I've just wrapped, they are just paper and they're not even a bow and just, a little bit of Sharpie. So no tinsel, no ribbons, just as you said, wanting to make sure that ornaments are shatterproof. So we have plastic ornaments in our house so that if the kitty knocks the tree over, nothing's broken.
I can just see them.
Well, and my 2-year-old gets my, we call them clompers, but they're basically like the tongs, the kitchen tongs, and he will take them and pull the individual ornaments off and then like try to throw them around. So it's imperative that they be shatterproof. But even the dog, we have an 80-pound dog now and her tail, is very strong, knocks them off. But other things to keep an eye out for, anything with bones. I know animals in the wild eat bones, but animals in the wild don't live as long as our wonderful pets. And consuming things that cause a foreign body or an obstruction is going to be something that is very harmful. So no bones. Other things you want to, kind of keep an eye.
I know the reason, but you're the one with all the Vanna White initials after your
No
name.
Pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
Well, it depends what you put in your pie, doesn't it? So what do you put in your pie, Arden?
That's my secret.
Fair enough.
Pumpkin, you got to read the label. The sugar is really bad to a cat, right?
So it can be at higher levels. And the truth is, if you're giving, a tiny little bite of something that has all safe ingredients, then the content or the quantity that you're giving is unlikely to be harmful. Again, the caveat there is all safe ingredients. It is true that kitties metabolize or utilize sugar and glucose differently than dogs do. So they don't have one of the enzymes that functions at really high levels of sugar concentrations. They have the one that functions really well at low levels. So they are, Oh, I know, right? I know. But yeah, so they are predisposed to getting hyperglycemia or elevated blood glucoses more easily than dogs are because of higher, carbohydrate diets. But it is a myth that cats can't use carbohydrates. They absolutely can use them. We just have to be cautious at the level. And the good news is that the complete and balanced commercial diets that are out there, enough research has been done that those are typically safe levels. I would say for the average cat, keeping in mind that every pet is a unique individual, so it might not be ideal for everybody. But I agree, human foods, when in doubt, just don't give it to them. There's so many other wonderful little treats that we can give them to show our affection without having to run the label by, your veterinarian every time.
I always, if we're cooking a turkey or something, I rinse a piece of breast meat. I do this. So there's no seasoning on it, no gravy. And I do a little shreds as a meal topper on Christmas for their bowls.
I think that's perfect. I think that's beautiful. Turkey and chicken has about 1.6 calories per gram. And my rule of thumb is no more than 10% of the daily calorie intake be in the form of treats or toppers. Okay. If possible. And so for an average kitty, usually they need somewhere between 230 and 250 calories per day obviously the bigger guys are going to need closer to 300 or maybe even more if they're a performance cat. But what that really means is probably no more than about a tablespoon per day.
I'm wondering where my kitties went.
They went to go find your turkey that you're cooking.
Hang on a second. Who wants a treat? We have a veterinarian in the house that's going to watch how many calories you're consuming restaurant.
I have to do the same thing for my little 6-pound dog. I mean, as much as she loves treats, I can't have her whole diet be treats, and
Yeah.
every time we go to the store or something, someone's always wanted to give her a treat. And I'm like, no, she can't have that. Number one, she makes a big mess, but number two, it could be half her diet for the day. So, you have to be with your cats. You just need to be aware of how much you're feeding them and how much you're giving them. And you don't want to love them so much you give them health issues.
That's so true. And I love that you brought that up.
What do you think about Casey? I think he's about 12 pounds.
I think he'd be a beautiful scarf. I kind of want to drape him around my neck. He's so handsome. He's really handsome, and it's such a good point. It's so busy nowadays. I'm sure you guys are busier than ever. I feel like I'm working, 3 jobs, and I'm not, but I feel like it. And, we feel guilty. We feel bad that we're not able to spend as much time as we used to. And so we show our love typically in the form of food. And that's not bad. You can do that. But as Kathy said, be cognizant of the amount of calories that you're giving. And if the information isn't available, give the company a call. If it's still not available, maybe stop using it. But there's other ways that we can show our affection, especially for kitties. Kitties weren't originally designed to be inside. Now it is safer. Don't get me wrong. My kitties will never go outside. We live next to a busy road. There's coyotes. There's a lot of reasons that I personally keep my cats inside. And if you all have outdoor cats, that is your choice. And there's ways to safely do that as well. But the outdoor kitties tend to be more active. So they tend to be a little bit leaner. Unless you have a mice infestation, and then they're really, really chubby. But, so when we're talking about our indoor kitties specifically, having, the cat trees, having multiple cat trees so that they can perch, so that they can hide, moving their food, not the litter box, never move the litter box, but moving the food to different locations so they have to hunt for their food can really be enriching for them. Using food balls and toys and, different forms of play, all of those things really bring your kitty cat joy. And it's good for us too. After a hard day and I sit down with my grenadine and tonic, the thing that actually brings me the most joy is being with my family, obviously, but having a big old cat just sitting on my lap purring. I mean, that brings my stress from 11 down to about a 3. And that's what they love too, and every cat's a little different. They, want to interact differently. My black cat, very shy. So when she gets in my lap, you better believe I don't move because I am honored by her presence. But the brown one, she's my little hussy kitty. And when she comes up, I mean, I love it. As you were saying with the tail, her tail will twitch when she comes up, and then she hooks it around my leg, and then she'll love bite my ankles. And I love it. I love it when they show signs of affection. I mean, it really brings me joy. So there's a lot of ways we can interact that don't always rely on treats.
So we have some people asking questions. Can we have her answer some questions? Do you know how cats metabolize stevia or any of the natural artificial sugars?
That is a really, really good question. I personally do not know the safety and efficacy of the artificial, but I guess those are natural, but sugar substitutes, if you will. There are artificial sugars that are very, very toxic to animals. So xylitol is kind of the one that we think about the most. And it can be in really sneaky places. Like with dogs, we're always like, no chewing gum. But you can actually find it in sugar-free maple syrup and barbecue sauce, and sometimes yogurt and, other weird places.
Peanut butter too.
So oh, yep. And peanut butter. Exactly. Like that's a huge one, like no xylitol. And so for me, because I don't know how they interact. I say no fake sugars, no sugar substitutes. It is glucose or, you know, table sugar, or it is not. And that's because I will err on the side of caution. And I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that know the answer to that. And I wish I had the answer to that specific question. But for me, I don't use it, and I don't use any sort of fake sugar for any of my patients.
And what's another question you got thrown at?
Well, people were curious about your plastic ornaments because everybody's kind of wondering where do you find them, and what other tips do you have for a safe Christmas tree?
Yeah, now I'm trying to remember where I got them. I feel like it was Walmart or Lowe's, and they are these, like, I think they're pretty. You know, they're pretty enough. I love the holidays, but I'll be honest, I might look like a calm cucumber, but my life is a little hectic right now. I've got 2 little hellions running around, you know, work full time, and my poor husband like tried to cut his finger off the other day, so I had to take him to urgent care and get stitches. You know, life is a little crazy right now. And so they're brown, but they have sparkles on them, so they catch the light. I mean, I think they're really kind of naturally beautiful, but I recall getting them, I think at Walmart.
If you find them, text me.
I will. Yeah.
Hour, we'll send everybody
Okay.
how's that? I just have a couple of their food questions. You know, I'm seeing that people are getting into plant sustainability, and you're seeing novel proteins, including insects, in cat and dog food and cat and dog treats.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Grubs and
Yeah.
I tried a bag for, not me, but my pets. What's the take? I mean, I know we only have so much protein on this planet that moos or bahs, so people are looking at things like crickets and base proteins. What's your take on that? What's going on? It's kind of a new era.
It is. And honestly, it's one that I am really excited and fascinated about. You know, because I do have 2 small children, sustainability is something that's really important to me. I don't just want the earth to be here. I want it to be here and to be in good condition for our kids and their kids in the future. And the truth is, using the traditional meat sources, it's not bad per se, but because of the amount that we're using, there is a huge carbon footprint. And so, I mean, most people could just Google, you know, manufacturing carbon footprint and beef commercial. And I'm not saying beef is bad. I eat it for sure, but commercial meats are about 50% of the carbon footprint. And it's because, especially in developed countries, most of us grew up not using the byproducts. And that's probably opening a can of worms, but byproducts are used. They're absolutely edible. And that is actually what animals in the wild eat first. They are the most nutritious, the most nutrients are concentrated in the byproducts. And specifically, I'm talking about like liver, kidneys, and spleen. But, you know, typically when you have an animal in the wild, they eat the byproducts first, and then a week later, the rotting carcass, they are then able to devour the skeletal meat, because it's just easier to get the things on the inside first. But when we talk about sustainability, the skeletal meat part, it's not bad to use, but it's the discarding of everything else that is really, really impactful. And so if we can find ways to use it and make it more sustainable, that's a huge one for me. So going back to your question about alternate protein sources, insects are very nutritious. I remember while I was at NC State in undergrad, they had a bug eating night, and my now husband, we were dating at the time, we're like, this is going to be an adventurous date. Let's go to the dining hall and eat bugs. And it, like, you know, we had to tell ourselves we weren't eating that because that's not how we were raised.
It's
but
like
it was
Survivor.
fine.
I cannot see them eat some of that stuff on Survivor. I start gagging.
Luckily, it was like covered, like the mealworms were like covered in caramel and, you know, popcorn. Those were a little on the bitter side. And I was like, okay, we're done with that. But we had chocolate covered crickets. And other than the antenna I found in my teeth, which I was like a little disconcerting, it was fine. It was totally fine. You know, so when we're talking about animals, My dog eats bugs. My cats, I love that they eat the bugs in my house. I don't have bugs in my house because my cats eat them. They're very nutritious. And so if company or companies are willing to investigate and do the research so that we can make sure that they're not missing anything essential, I am all for it, because guess what? When we're all gone, the bugs are going to take over, and the bugs already have taken over. I mean, there's so many species of bugs and they're everywhere. It makes a lot of sense to try to utilize something that takes up significantly less space, has significantly less carbon footprint, is significantly cheaper to manufacture, that our pets don't mind to eat.
Yeah, we just sprinkle some taurine on those crickets and there you go.
So I got that.
I mean that's what we do for other protein sources, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, I know one thing, and I hope I'm hearing it from the folks tuning in. They tune in live and on, once we post it on Facebook, Dr. Lindsey, and on YouTube by tomorrow. And it's going to gain a lot of traction. But I do know, don't you agree, Kathy? This lady's got to come back.
Yes.
Because we have just scratched the surface of her brainiac knowledge. I mean, I haven't even got the fact that she lived in Switzerland for a year. And she was a winger playing in the sport of rugby, where when you score, it's called a try.
It is called a try. That is correct. Yeah, that's so funny. I don't even remember telling you that. Were you stalking me? That was actually one of the best times of my life, and I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to do that. And I like, the thing I would love to share with the listeners out here, the pandemic has been so hard on everybody, and sometimes our life takes a turn that we don't see it's going to, but things will work out. So for example, I had my heart set on finishing my internship and going straight to a residency. And I didn't get a residency my first year out, and my heart was broken. And I had made an arrangement with my husband, who was living in Switzerland at the time for work, that if I didn't get a residency, I would move there with him. And can you imagine? I didn't get a residency and I'm bawling my eyes out. And he's like, "You get to move to Switzerland." And I'm like, "No." But you know, it wasn't in the plan. And I think that experience has taught me to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit more adaptive, and to try to see the silver lining. The silver lining was I actually got to see my husband significantly sooner, and I hadn't gotten to live with him for 2 years at that time. And he came home every month, but like that's not enough for somebody that you adore. And I didn't work, so I got to take time off after I'd been in school my entire life. I ran a marathon in Greece, which was incredible. I pseudo learned German. I miss it. Ich möchte eine Bier bitte. I can still ask for a beer. But
right?
Yeah, you know, and I learned how to play rugby. I didn't play rugby before I went, but the Basel team was so welcoming, and they said, "Hey, we've got this girl that can catch and she can run. And other than that, we can teach her." And they welcomed me into their family, and I just had the most amazing time.
And I
was in Switzerland.
Cool.
And I mean, yeah. I would love to go back. I want to show my kids Switzerland. There's actually a conference there next year on my birthday. And if, you know, pandemic is getting slightly under control, I hope to go. But again, the point to that is if I hadn't had my plans, my heart, you know, broken because the future didn't happen the way I wanted it to, I wouldn't have had that amazing experience. So, you know, for me, at least, I hope the listeners here can, once they get over the shock, you know, of their life not going the way they plan it, open your eyes, because I promise another door will open, and it might be even more beautiful than the first one you thought. And I still got a residency when I got back. So, you know, I was very lucky. My life turned out very, very good, and I'm very grateful for that.
That it was very wise advice. And you know what? You're right. Sometimes we get curveballs, and the curveballs make our life even better. And I'm so happy to have an opportunity to get to know you and to share what you do. As folks know, I do the nutrition column for Catster and Dogster. She's been on my Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. She's got 2 cute boys, 2 cute cats, and a cute dog. I don't know if Nathan, your husband's cute, but
he is really cute, if I do say so myself.
We want you to stick around, because at this time, I'm going to go off camera to get ready to make my gin and grin cocktail. And Kathy, our all-breed CFA judge, is going to tell us a little bit about the breed, the Manx. Take it away, Kathy.
All right. Yeah, we discussed the Manx earlier when we were talking about our tailless breed. So let's just briefly get into this. I thought this picture was so cute. These cats are a little higher in the rump than they are in the shoulders, but not this much. This breed originated on the Isle of Man, that is in the Irish Sea, and taillessness is a mutation. It's a dominant gene. Originally, they were all short-haired cats, but they think the Vikings came along with their Norwegian forest cats and introduced the long hair into their population. It also spread into other islands around the area. And it was one of the original breeds that CFA accepted when they became an organization in 1906. But there's historical records of the Manx being shown even in the 1800s in Europe. And the Manx has a gene for the long tail, therefore they can produce kittens with full tails. They can also produce kittens with an intermediate tail. Those are called stumpies. And then the cats that don't have a tail at all are called rumpy. And only the rumpy and a rumpy riser, which is like a couple of vertebrae, are acceptable for showing. These are very friendly cats. They are intelligent cats. They're devoted to their families. Our website says they have a sense of humor, which I thought was kind of an interesting take on a cat. And they get along well with children, cats, and other dogs. I just want to point out that with our Manx breed, the same way with our Siamese breed or maybe the Maine Coon breed, you could have a cat that's a random bred cat that's tailless. But just because it's tailless doesn't mean it's a Manx. A Manx is a breed that we know the genetics and the history of those lines for many, many generations. So there is the tailless, just like there's a Siamese gene that runs around in our random population. Oops, I didn't want to go that fast. I'm just going to do a real quick butt shot on these two cats because I thought it was hilarious. But you can really see how those cats are so round. And then when your hand comes off that butt, a lot of times this is the first thing you feel. But there's no bone there. That is perfectly tailless in our show cats. They come in all colors, all patterns. Here's a solid copper-eyed white. Here's a looks like a cream tabby and white. But they come in the calico or blue patch tabby and white. This is also a calico girl. This girl here was actually a national winning. I think she was the best cat in the world in premiership, which is the neuters and spays. And she was about maybe 4 or 5 years old when they brought her out as a spay. And the first time I put my hands on this cat, I just flipped out. I thought she was a beautiful example of the Manx. When you talk about that bowling ball body, this is a true little bowling ball body. They have an interesting description of the ears, and I looked to see if I could find a picture. When you look at the back of the head, so from looking from behind the cat toward the front of the cat, the back of the ears looks like the bottom of a rocking chair. And you can kind of see that in this picture here. That's how the ears are set on the cat. So from the back side, it looks like a rocking chair, but I couldn't find an illustration of that anywhere. Here we have a red classic tabby. They come in long hair variety. Here's a blue-eyed white long hair. And that's just the end of my presentation. So just wanted to quickly talk about our beautiful Manx cats. And like I said, they come in 3 tail lengths, the full tail, the stumpy, and the rumpy. And the rumpy is all that's accepted as show quality in the show ring.
All right. Thank you so much, Kathy. What did you think of that, Dr. Lindsey?
I want a Manx. I want to hear their knock-knock jokes.
Your sense of humor, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I like about the CFA, because they have, they're the oldest cat registry. That's great. But they also recognize household cats like Maya, and Ida, and Casey, and Rusty. Kathy, tell us a little bit about the CCW. How was that for a TIA?
Yes. So our program to recognize the non-pedigreed cats is called Companion Cat World, and you can register your cat. It goes into our huge database, becomes part of the legacy of CFA, And when you upload a picture, not only does your cat's picture go up on our gallery of cats, but you also get this lovely card with your cat's picture on it, your cat's name and your information. There's luggage tags. There's rings for your keychain. You can find it all out on cfa.org/CCW. It's one-time $13 fee per cat, and 10% of that goes to a local shelter. So everybody check it out at cfa.org/CCW.
Idea is it's not that much, and it does so much. So I'm really happy that Casey and Kona's my dog, sorry. Casey and Rusty are proud card-carrying members of the CCW. Hey, yesterday, guess what I did? I taught a cat first aid class, veterinary approved, with Casey and Rusty through Zoom. And Kathy, can you throw that slide up? I know you don't know that side of me that much, Lindsay, but my big passion is pet safety. So I teach cat, dog first aid. I teach a 2-day program for people to become instructors. And I'm betting I'm the only one that has 2 cats and 2 dogs who will tolerate being my teaching assistants in a class. What do you think of that, Lindsay?
You're probably right. Mine would fight you for it if I tried to bring him into a first aid class. But I think that's incredible. I think that's such a wonderful thing that you're doing.
And it's great because I get to work with cool veterinarians like you, because everybody, pet first aid is like that life-saving bridge between the uh-oh and the veterinary clinic. Your job, which I try to teach people, is to render aid on the scene, stabilize, immobilize, and get your tail, even if it's a Manx cat, to the vet. So it's kind of that in between, and you're being a first responder. And I am goofy, but I'm very passionate about first aid. And one of the best gifts I give everybody in my class is permission to freak out later.
Yeah, later.
You've had experience in the ER and as a veterinarian, and so you know what I'm talking about, the mental game, what you say, how you approach that injured cat can make it or not, right?
No, it really can.
Yeah. All right, we got a few minutes left. Are you guys thirsty?
You know it.
And Dr. Lindsay did her homework. She said, can you send me the recipe? I said, absolutely.
I was so disappointed. We didn't have orange juice. So this is sans orange juice, but it's close enough.
I'm calling it the Ginger Cat Gin and Grin Tonic.
Love it.
It's a perfect take on that classic gin and tonic drink. And for all of you out there listening, I did hear you. So guess what? Starting in January, 1 show a month on Meowy Hour, even though I'm a licensed bartender, I'm making a non-alcoholic kitty cocktail. Do I hear a hello? Yay!
Thank you. That is very wonderful.
I hear them applauding in the background. Yay!
Today. We also want to give a big shout out to Teresa Kiger. She is an all-breed CFA judge and editor of Cat Talk. And this is the gal that creates these kitty cocktail graphics each and every week. So thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. So this one, we're going to mix it up a little bit. I've got my little platform. All right, this one's an easy one. It's a great one. It's a clean, refreshing drink. All you do is take a cocktail shaker, put some ice in it, and then you want to do 1.5 ounces of gin. So if you use one of these puppies or kitties, it's a 6 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you want to add 2 ounces of orange juice. I'm telepathically sending it to North Carolina from Dallas.
Thank you.
How could you not have orange juice with 2 kids in your house?
They drink 5 gallons of milk a week. Like, yeah. When I get juice, they'll drink juice too. But we're still trying to work on teeth brushing with the 2-year-old. So we keep the juice to a minimum, but they do like it.
So we're putting 2 ounces of OJ in there. Now you make your pick. You can do club soda or you can do tonic water. I'm watching my calories. So I'm going to do club soda. So before you put that, you never put it club soda, anything carbonated in a shaker.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Make it
Please.
fun.
I do add a little squirt of lime. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this, shake it up. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. All right, all nice and good. All right. And then I have my, now for a gin and tonic or a gin and gin cattail cocktail, please use a tall glass with a lot of ice. And you pour this all in there. I could have done my strainer, sorry. I get so nervous, I'm in front of a veterinarian. Okay. And then you top it off with club soda or tonic water, which I'm doing here. Let it fizz. Get one of your little long spoons. Give it a nice swirl, swirl. And here's your fruit for the day. Go ahead and plop a couple of oranges, slices there. So at this time, let us all raise a glass and let us salute cats, purebred, household cats, cool cats, cats that purr, cats that have tails, cats that don't have tails. And let us thank them for making us better humans. Cheers, kitties.
Cheers, kitties.
Ooh, this is very refreshing. And if I get to North Carolina, I'll make you and Nathan whatever cocktail you want me to make.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you. It's been a long time since I've had a tuxedo Russian.
On it. I'll work on it. Hey, everybody, I hope you had a great time. We love bringing you Meowy Hour. I want to first say, hey, co-pilot, Kathy Black, Destiny, thank you for being part of this each and every week. We want to give a big round of applause to our special guest, Dr. Lindsey Bullen. She is a board certified veterinary nutritionist and one cool chick, that's for sure.
One cool cat.
In Clover, the makers of cat and dog supplements, and Kitty Raid, the isotonic drinks we were talking about to keep those kitties getting the hydration that they need. I know you're curious as a cat what's going on, and here's I got to thank Casey and Rusty. They've already left the building. But next week we got a special couple coming on. We have Mark Winter. He is the executive producer of Pet Life Radio, of which my show, Oh Behave, is on the lineup. He is my radio husband. We also have Michelle Fern. She hosts not one, but two shows on Pet Life Radio. One is called Best Bets for Pets. Oh, I did it right the first time, thank goodness. And Cattitude. So be sure and tune in next week. Dr. Lindsey, have a great holiday with your kids, your cats, your dog, your husband. Thank you so much for all you do for our pets. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it was my pleasure. And again, it was an honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation. And I hope everybody has an amazing, wonderful, and safe holiday.
All right. So until next time, same cat channel, same cat time. We'll see you on Meowy Hour. Take care, everybody.